the quality to be a good judge are difficult. Let's say, first of all, you need to be accepted by the skier. Because if the skier don't accept you, you have no possibility to become a good judge. You know that you really need to let the skier know you, and even if you make mistake, because mistakes are human, they have to understand that you made a mistake, and you have to be not afraid to admit it. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I cannot change it, but I made that mistake. If I can correct it, why not? But if I cannot, I have to leave.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back or welcome to the Water Ski Podcast. My name is Matteo and the goal of this podcast is to promote water skiing in all its forms, in all its shape, and through the people in the sport. Sometimes you'll hear from water skiers, sometimes from coaches, from judges, from drivers, from anyone that is within the sport. Today's episode is brought to you by the H2O Pro Shop. H2O Pro Shop is the place to get all your water ski equipment with free shipping in the 48 continental states and great international shipping rates. H2O Pro Shop is still shipping daily throughout this pandemic and always works hard on getting the items you need quickly. You can social distance out on the water with some new toys from your boat from H2O Pro Shop. You can email them at sales@h2oproshop.com and they'll be happy to help you out with recommendations and any questions you may have. Now, you can take 10% off of your orders directly through the online store with discount code TWSP on all applicable items. But hurry, because the discount will only last for the few weeks you hear their name here on the Water Ski Podcast. Skis, wake surfs, wakeboards, and more from the biggest brands in the industry. H2O Pro Shop, founded by skiers, run by skiers, made for skiers. H2oproshop.com, 10% off with code TWSP. Go and check them out, get your equipment. I mean, we always need gloves, life jackets, ropes, whatever. Call them up and they'll help you out. Now, this episode of the Water Ski Podcast is also brought to you by the Flowpoint Method. Flowpoint Method is a brand new online water ski training program developed by Jenny LaBeau and Marcus Brown. Rastafari, slaloms, West Coast style, episode 10, Marcus Brown. Yeah, one of the guests of this show. So they cover technique, fitness, nutrition, and mindset. Jenny and Marcus really took a truly holistic approach in creating the Flowpoint Method for those who are committed to take their skiing to the next level. Personally, I love it. I believe they have the right approach. I use the program, and I've been collaborating with them in creating the mindset section of the Flowpoint Method. With daily and weekly updates and an extremely extensive library of videos, instructionals, and writings, you can finally remove all the guesswork and get the most out of your time on the water. You can become a member of the Flowpoint Method by going to thewaterskipodcast.com/Flowpoint Method or click the link in the show notes. Again, thewaterskipodcast.com/Flowpoint Method, one word. Now, episode 43 of the Water Ski Podcast is with Candido Moz. Now, if you have ever had a chance to compete at the international level, this name will not be new to you. He is the current IWWF Tournament Council president and widely regarded as one of the best judges in the world. He didn't like me to say that, but certainly one of the most knowledgeable. Candido really opens up, shares his journey into water skiing, first as a skier, then as a young judge, as a young TC, and the circumstances in his life that brought him to be the judge that he is and having the roles that he has at a more of an institutional level. And then we discuss all sorts, how you approve a world record, or let's see, we talked about rankings and what he believes about rankings. So it's a fairly deep episode, but I would say that even if you're not a tournament water skier, you would enjoy hearing the complexity behind like judging a very complex sport, honestly, like water skiing. So a couple of announcements before we jump into the episode. I'm very happy to report that the USA Water Ski crowdfunding efforts to broadcast the nationals, the US nationals, were successful. So they collected over $10,000. So provided the US nationals occur, then they will be webcasted for everyone around the world to watch, and they will be broadcasted by the Water Ski Broadcasting Company. The second announcement is that I'm super sorry for the delay with this episode. I didn't post anything last week. We have been hugely busy here at ski school, which is great, but it took time away from the podcast. So those are the two announcements for this week. Enjoy this episode and keep in touch. Should we start?
We can start.
Okay. Well, Candido, welcome to the Water Ski Podcast. Welcome back to San Gervasio. What are you doing here?
I just come to check a few courses because, as you know, I work for the Italian Water Ski Federation. So I'm normally going and check courses and ramps and to set them up with the places where we go.
Yeah. What do you check today? The jump courses, right?
Yeah, I check the 2 jump course and the ramp position. We fix them so they are ready to go.
Were they really bad?
No, they were not. They were almost there. But you know what? The centimeter need always to be checked, and the apron and the open of the ramp is something that you always have to check to have it accurate.
Yeah, and I think precision is a lot of what you do, and we'll get into that throughout this interview. But as I do with all my guests, I would like to hear, how did you get into water skiing? Because, I mean, this is a weird sport, okay? So how did you get exposed? How were your early days?
You know, I live on a lake. My parents they are a owner of a camping and a restaurant on a lake near Vittorio Veneto, which is in Veneto. And I learned to ski at 5 years old. I've been skiing up to 18. Then I quit skiing and I became a judge. And I've been involved in judging since that time. And I grow up slowly and become a technician and work for the federation now and be the world president, the World TC president in this moment. Just from last year, I became the World TC president.
Well, you basically went through your life story in a span of 40 seconds, but here we'll take things slowly.
Okay.
So you skied until you were 18.
Yeah.
What was your favorite event?
I prefer slalom. I was not a tricker. I was
nice.
Talking about 2,500 points, which is not much, but we are talking about ages ago because at that time the record was completely different. I was jumping too. I jumped 36. That was my best, but the world record was 50. So it was not far away from
Oh, you were jumping well, yeah.
Yeah, but we were jumping with wood skis and different ramps and everything. The slalom, I did score some buoy at 12. But I always have against me somebody like really top athletes, and I never exceed. I was not so a good athletes.
But did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at that time, but that we quit because they stopped the navigation on my lake, so you have to move out from the lake, and when you move out, of course your life change and everything change a little bit.
Oh, so okay. So you grew up skiing on the lake where you're from.
Yes.
Fantastic. Who was pooling you? Was there a ski school there?
We have a ski school. We ran a lot of events during that year, and my father was the head of all of this, and he buy a boat, and then he buy a bush boat in the first stages, and then he went into a nautique for the last few years, but then, as I told you before, they closed the navigation on all open lake in Veneto. So
all open lakes.
Yeah, all open lakes. So you need a special permit to ski, and we were not able to find it and to get it. So we have to quit skiing there, and we move to another place, which is about an hour apart from where we live, and the ski school died.
Interesting. Yeah. Is it still the same now? Like nowadays, the law that you mentioned is still in place?
It's still in place. It's a regional law. Now you can only use a 5 horsepower on the lake, and they can have just small rowing competition or something like this, but not water ski
Motorized
anymore.
boats.
No water ski anymore.
Tough to ski behind a 5 horsepower boat.
Yes, really tough.
Interesting. And so, did you get coaching at the time, or was it just you and your dad skiing hard?
No, I did get a few coaches coming from the States. One was Bill Mahana. He is from California somewhere. I never met him anymore. He came 2 years during the summer, and he teaches us how to ski. And then I did ski behind some of the Italian coaches at that time, which was Davide father, if you remember Davide Gandola father, Vito Tonon. He was coach of the Italian team at that time, and he came often in my place, and we did ski together.
Yeah, clinics and whatnot.
Clinics. And,
yeah.
yeah.
So what years were they? What years were the years that you were skiing?
I ski from 1966 up to 1981, 82, and then I quit.
So those were the years that Robbie was still active in skiing, right?
Yeah. And the first boat we buy was Robbie boat.
Ah, okay. A Bush?
A Bush, yeah.
Interesting. Was he someone like, give me a sense, because obviously that predates me big time.
Mm-hmm.
Was Robbie like a name on the newspapers? Like, what was the status of it? Because he was one of the best skiers in the world.
Let's say that at that time, the newspaper and the television was helping us much more than now. Now it's almost impossible to have somebody wrote about you, or to have a television come on your site and register your transmission. He was really well known. That's why he became president of the federation a few years after.
Yeah.
He was really, really well known at that time.
Yeah. Was it someone that like inspired you when you were skiing, or like?
I was just a kid when my dad took me to Segrino, the place where he skis, and it was like in a different world. See all of these people skiing there, see Robbie skiing, because Robbie is disabled, only one eye.
Right.
So he could ski in the disabled now, but at that time he skied in the open. He won the world championship in slalom. With that handicap is not easy. So it did inspire all of us. I think all the generation of skier come like that. And then Fabrizio Merlo and Marco Merlo was also in the same time.
Right.
And we did grow up together. So it's nice.
Yeah. So just by looking at you, it sounds like those were fond memories.
They are, because first of all, because I was much younger.
Okay.
That's one point. And then because at that time, I didn't think about, when you're a kid and you don't have your job, you don't have your family, everything looks different. Freedom.
Yeah.
Now you look a little bit blocked into what life is. But I still do what I like. So that's the main important thing.
Yeah, you were able, even though life now you're an adult and life is more compartmentalized, you still are in the passion that you.
Yes, I am still doing what I love since the beginning. So
that's pretty cool.
I enjoy it.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so 18 years old, you stopped skiing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a tough decision? Was it a sort of like a natural decision?
It comes natural when you have to move away from where you live and you change your life, because everything changes. It's automatic. You quit, you slow down step by step, and then at the end, if you don't train anymore, it's time to quit.
Did you make attempts, like when you guys had to move? Were you trying to like travel to go ski, or?
We did try to travel a little bit to that place, but it was still far away, and I cannot answer. Sorry.
That's all right.
I have a phone call from Greece.
It's all right.
Yeah.
That's your life, honestly.
Yeah, they call me because they want to know some news about the European Championship. Then we are going to have this summer, if we are going to have some championship this summer because of the situation.
Yeah.
So everybody called me for this reason.
Yeah, we'll answer them later, and we'll talk about this soon. But so you said you were trying to get some sets elsewhere.
Yeah, we did rent another place near Treviso, which was an hour apart, which was a man-made lake.
Yep.
But moving, and because we have a job, we have a restaurant and a camping, so running the business and skiing is not easy.
No.
So my father quit, he became a counselor of the Italian Water Ski Federation.
Ah, okay.
And he was still, when he died, he was still a counselor, because my dad died in 82.
Okay.
So it's a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting how, despite you couldn't really ski anymore, and by you I mean you in general, like your family, you still decided to stay involved in the sport.
Because we have this school, and we were still running this school in the other place that we rent near Treviso, and Marina came to ski there when she began to ski with us, and I remember to teach her how to do a surface trick.
No, you taught Marina to do surface tricks?
Because she were going to holiday with the parents in Greece, and she wanted to know something to do. So I tell her, behind the big boat that your dad have, the only thing you can do is a surface trick on the sea. You can do nothing. So I teach her on shore how to do tricks, because she never ski before. And she went out, and she became what she became.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's good. I have really nice memory, and I did see a lot of people. But, life changed, so I went to my military service, and when I come back, everything was changed. And I decided to become a judge, to step by step to become a judge.
What was the process, right? So you come back from military, which at the time was still mandatory in Italy.
Yes, correct.
And you say, okay, I'm going to become a judge. What's step one? What did you do?
Now, I was still in contact with the federation, because I've been there for a long time. So because I was not a good skier anymore, and I didn't have a place to ski, I get in contact with the Federation Commission of Judging, and said, I would like to become a judge. What I have to do? So you do your courses, you do your test, and step by step you can, you grow up. Every year you can do a step, or every 2 years. It depends how quick or how many competitions you do during the season. But then the president of the Italian Federation see me and start to employ me to help going around sites and check sites. So see if they need help them to install courses, because as I told you, I burn on a lake, and we build our own courses.
So
I've been in water and working in water since when I burn. That's why for me some jobs are easy, and I can do it. So I start going around Italy and checking places and water ski site and everything I think in 88.
Oh, okay. So early on.
Yeah.
Early on.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important aspect. This is something that I spoke about with Vincent. Obviously, as you know, Vincent Stadabauer is very peculiar and passionate about his driving. And I am interested in promoting the sport of water skiing. And one of the things that Vincent told me is, to promote the sport needs to be good. Like, it needs to be proper, right? And I think part of what you have been doing for, over 30 years now, of making sure that courses and ramps and everything are proper, makes the sport better. Yeah. I don't know if you agree with that.
I think mostly the really important thing is that we need to be all more professional. Think in your mind, you must be a little bit more professional. I know we are all amateurs. I know we are all friends. But if you want to do sports, you need to be professional. You need to know what you have to do, and you need to do it properly. Don't do it halfway. In Italy, we have some really nice way to say that if you want to do something correct or something wrong, you take the same time.
Yeah.
But if you do it wrong the first time, then you have to do it again.
Right.
So do it correct the first time is better.
Yeah.
Maybe you spend 5 minutes more, but you do it how it have to be done, and that's how it have to be.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So, as you were employed by the federation to, help out Italian sites to have proper courses, proper lakes, make sure everything was good, were you already at the highest level of judging or not yet?
I was not yet.
Okay.
At the beginning, to become an international judge was difficult, because it was a kind of a small clan.
Yeah, right.
Where, with all these old, really old people coming from the sports. And luckily, I've been able to. I was a national judge at that time. When I started, I was a national judge.
Right.
And after 2 years, I was able to take my international exams under Alain Ahmad was the examiner.
Anais' dad, right?
He's still alive.
No, Anais' father.
Anais' father.
Yeah, okay.
Anais' father. He was a TC member. He took my exams in Sicily during a World Cup that we have in Sicily. And 2 weeks after, he said, "Candido, I need a judge. You come." I said, "But you just took my exam." But yes, but I took it. I know the results, and I need you as a judge in a competition in France. So that's how I start.
So basically, he asked you to be a judge at an important event before you knew whether you had passed the exam or not?
Correct.
That's cool.
Correct. Because he did took my exam, so he know how I was, my preparation. And he said, even if we should wait until the end of the season, because at that time you pass, the exam was, the result of the exam was announced at the end of the season, and we were in the center of the season. He said, "I need you come," and I do.
Interesting. So you knew by then that you had passed.
Yes.
You had passed. So what year was this that you became international judge?
I think it was about 89.
Okay. 89.
Yeah.
So I guess was it hard for you? Like, was it hard to become an international? Was it a lot of studying, or was it easy to study? Like for you?
I do believe if you come from the sport, it's not difficult. Okay. Because what you have to know is the rule book. Okay, there is a gap between being a judge and being a skier. It's just a wall that you have to step over. It's a small step that you have to do. But you know the rules. You know the sport. You just need to learn how to apply it.
Right.
Which is difficult. But it was not, for me. It was not so difficult, let's say.
Yeah.
But I spent my entire life in water ski, so I grew up in water ski. So it's difficult to say if it is difficult or not.
Yeah, that's your life.
It's my life. So it's the same when I survey a course. For me, in 20 minutes, I can survey a course. And I see homologator taking 3 hours. But that's my job.
Yeah.
So I cannot compare them to me because it's completely different. That's my job, and I do it for my life.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting point. It's a very interesting point because, the same could be said about skiers, right? So you see someone running 1075, you're like, wow, how can you possibly do it? Well, that's what I do. That's.
It look 12.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like
so easy that. But that's it's part of who you are and how you grow up and your ability, because some of them are ability that you have inside your body. It's not something that they can try to teach you, but you need to have some kind of special.
So going back to 89, you're basically told, you passed, even though you weren't told officially, but you're passed. Come to this tournament, we need you. Were you already a TC at the time?
No, I was not.
You were not a TC.
I was not a TC. I was just a judge first. Then we do not have TC in Italy, so they were looking. We only have one, Giorgio Raffagli, which was the husband of the Secretary General of the Italian Federation at that time. He teach me how to do it, and I take my test. I think in about the same year, maybe in 90. I didn't pass the first one.
There you go. Nice.
Because Adriano Bottinelli came down. We were not able to use instrument at that time. We have no theodolite. We were using some kind of lines and stuff like this.
Okay.
He came down, he make a really difficult test. And even if I pass it, I was not able to use a theodolite at that time. So he said, you cannot survey a course. Okay. I went back home, go to my real job, which is a land surveyor.
There you go.
And I asked my boss, okay, I need to use the theodolite because I need to learn how to use it. 6 months later, I was taking my exam and I passed it.
Interesting. So you became a TC, but you weren't allowed to TC because they didn't test you on the instrument you were going to use?
Correct.
That's a bit strange.
No, because at that time, we do not have any instrument in Italy. We were still using a different approach to homologating the courses. You were not born at that time. I'm sorry, Matteo.
No, I was.
We were using a kind of a sketch, a course sketch, and then you sit on a point, you draw lines, and then you try to match the sketch with the lines. It was difficult. It was difficult.
I was born in 88, so I was alive. I was one. Yeah, but it sounds like some ancient stuff.
It's incredible at that time. That's why in the same ages we have a world record set by Elena Kilander not being approved because the course have been checked by the Americans, which at that time they were able to use theodolite, and was found out of tolerance. So we did have, steps by step. We were a little bit behind in Europe, but we catch up. I hope so.
I would say, and I want to get there. But continuing on the journey, so, Alain tells you, hey, I need you. Mm-hmm. What tournament was it that he needed you for?
It was a match from Italy, Great Britain, and France. It was a youth match. And that we have in Toulouse. I remember the place, Toulouse. So I went there. I do my judging, and from there on, I've been every year judging 25 events, which is a lot. Sometimes 2 or 3 in a week because I often travel, so I can go places to places and judge in different places.
Yeah, but. Let's stay with that tournament. Was that the most important or most prestigious tournament you had judged until then? Like that Toulouse tournament?
Yes.
How was it for you?
That was the first international event in a place where they did run a world championship, because Toulouse was a world championship site 1,000 years ago.
Okay.
So I was a lot under pressure.
Yeah.
But they put me in the boat.
They put you in the boat?
They put me in the boat, and as I love to be in the boat, because I can stay in the boat all day long, I don't care about it, I get comfortable immediately. I got the feeling, I got to be part of it, and I make it.
Interesting. No, it's cool because, you're a skier at the end of the day, so even if you haven't skied in a long time, the fact that they put you in the boat made you feel kind of like more comfortable.
Yes. It put you in the good attitude, in the correct attitude, because water ski for a judge is in the boat.
Yeah.
On the tower, checking gates or to looking at buoy. If you go around the buoy, it's completely different. You need to be on the boat, and I love to be in the boat.
Yeah. Is there something that you would recommend to someone who wants to become a judge, like stay in the boat, be in the boat for skiers?
I think being in the boat teach you as a person, first of all, what is the action.
Right.
What really happened in the water, because from outside everything looked flat and cold.
Right.
In the boat you really leave the atmosphere of what is water ski. I do believe also being a jetty marshal at a big event is almost something that is really similar, because you can leave the pressure on the dock, how the skier are what the skier are feeling. It's really important that to live there, to see the difference between the skier and to understand them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it that way. Like being closer to the action should help you become a better judge. Like it's an experience you should have.
It teaches you, in fact, what is the life of the skier, because from outside what you see is when he's out with no pressure, because when you're out you have no pressure anymore.
Right.
There on the dock, you have the pressure. The skier before you ski or have a score, and you have to beat him.
Yeah.
And you are there, and you leave this situation. This is nice. I think it's really important for everybody to stay on the dock and to live that part of the life, of the skiing life.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree for sure. Okay, so don't want to jump too far, although I think it's going to be pretty close. What was your first world championship as a judge?
I became an international judge in '88, and my first world champion was '91 in
Austria.
In Austria.
Ooh, that's
Villach.
Yeah.
The last world championship with the Bush boat.
True. And to me, at least in my memory, although again I'm super young in that sense, men's slalom run of 3-way tie for gold
was incredible, because the Americans they were not used to ski behind the bush. and they did ski. They did one because
lucky one, yeah.
the lucky one. So it was really really impressive, really impressive.
See, I all I know from I've got to learn interestingly through the podcast some more about their worlds. But my recollection of their worlds, obviously I was 3 years old, was Claudio had the VHS, and he would show it to us all the time whenever I would go and sleep at his place because we ski in the morning. He would show me that VHS over and over and over again. And for whatever reason, I remember big crowd, very well televised. It felt like an important tournament.
It was for Austria at that time. It was a really big tournament. But as I told you before, at that time, television and newspaper was much more, or let's say they have less other sport to take care about, and maybe they have more money than now. Yeah. So now they are looking much more for sponsors and everything. At that time, they also take care about this smaller sport, let's say, in break it. But we did have a big television people there, and
I remember helicopter shots,
a lot. But as a judge, I do remember being in the boat with some of the drivers, and at the end, I still remember what one of them told me. I don't remember who he was, but he told me, this is the first time with the Bush, I'm surprised no one missed a time. Because in the wall, we are talking about manual driving and manual timing, and we didn't have any rerun jump and any rerun slalom. So
wow.
It was incredible.
Wow. Yeah, I guess it tells about, obviously the boat, but also the quality of drivers you had. And interesting. So first World Championship, were you nervous?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, yes. It's not easy. Even if I have been to so many events in my life, the first World Championship is the first big event. Is where people start to know you because you get worldwide known there. So it's been difficult, but I think I managed it.
Yeah, yeah. So you were like a regular judge?
I was just a regular judge. I did judge slalom, trick and jump because they put me in tricks most of the time. They put me as a trick judge. But let's say the pressure was a lot. But luckily, my girlfriend at that time, because I wasn't married yet. My girlfriend was with me, and she helped me to overtake this status.
Yeah, to be balanced whilst you were doing that. Who were I'm assuming Alain, because just he gave you the exam, so obviously he was an important judge at the time. But what were some of the judges maybe you were looking up to, like in your early days? Like you would look at that judge and go, okay, that's a good judge. I'm inspired. I want to become like that.
The person that really inspired me was Stefan Raukenwald, which was the TC president at that time.
Yep.
For his attitude, I cannot judge him as a judge. Okay, I cannot tell you he was a good judge or not. But his present, how he the attitude, that was really what inspired me to become better and better, and to be more patient. To always think a little more before reacting.
Okay.
And try to be prepared all the time I go to a place.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, which is very Italian in a sense, the reaction before pondering,
correct.
Right?
We are Italian.
Yeah,
we
at the end of the day,
they all said we have a hot blade. Our heart is reacting so quick.
Yeah.
And we are like this. We react first. But they teach me to go slowly. Think first and then react.
And Stefan had that.
He's Austrian, German. The German mentality. They are really, really quiet, really thinking, really ponderate what they have to do, and then they do it.
Yeah, yeah. And it seems like a good quality to have to be a judge, like a good judge.
The quality to be a good judge, they are difficult. Let's say, first of all, you need to be accepted by the skier. Because if the skier don't accept you, you have no possibility to become a good judge. That you really need to let the skier know you, and even if you make mistake, because mistakes are human.
Yep.
they have to understand that you made a mistake, and you have to be, not afraid to admit it.
Yeah.
I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I cannot change it, but I made that mistake. If I can correct it, why not? But if I cannot, I have to live.
Yeah. 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 No, that's a good point. Okay, so first Worlds, nervous, but sounded like you managed, was it... I'm interested in your personal experience. So after that World Championship in 91, what was the reaction like? I want to judge more events. I want to become a better judge. How did you leave Austria?
I leave Austria thinking I want to become better.
Interesting.
because when you are there and you saw so many things happen, and some you have never seen before, because every place where you go, every competition, there are something new. You see, I've been to more than 1,000 competition up to now, but
More than 1,000?
More than 1,000.
Damn.
But every place where you go, something new happen.
Yeah.
And you have to use the rule, of course, because we have rules to help us on this occasion. But most of the time, you have to adapt the possibility you have. So you have to live with it. And when I come back from Austria at that time, I said, okay, I want to become better. I want to grow up in this. I like this. This is what I like. So I want to become better and try to be better.
Yeah. And that's what I want to see your opinion. What does it mean to become a better judge? Like, what are the steps? Like, let's assume, Candido, after 91 Worlds, so you've already judged Worlds. You're a good judge by whatever standards were in place. How do you become better? Is it more tournaments, better knowledge of the rule book? What is it involved?
Is a little bit of everything. It's more tournament because you need to see more cases, more difficult cases, more new places, more let's say structure, because not everywhere, like in Italy, there is a few, I think one places only where we have fixed scores.
Yeah,
all the other places is floating course, and floating course are different than anchor one. They are, so you need to learn worldwide what the sport is. So I start moving. I start going out. I went to the US for my first time. I think in '95, and you need to see what's happened outside your small area to become a little bit more international.
Yeah. Yeah. So a good point.
So rules is also important because you need to know how to apply rules to get into rules. But I think mostly is living in the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. Living the sport. That's a good point. And all right. So 91 Worlds. How many? Let's just stick with open worlds. I'm not even gonna go to other stuff. Open worlds. How many did you do?
Too many.
Too many.
It's not often in Europe to be appointed to more than one. But I was in 91. I was in Medellin in 97.
Yep.
Then I was in 99 in Milano.
Yep.
Then in 2001 in Recetto.
Yep.
Which I was chief judge at that time because after 11, what happened in September 11 in the US, they were not so free to fly, and the competition was just after. So
right.
I do remember I received a phone call from Bob Corson telling me, you're going to be the chief judge there, because our chief judge, which was an American lady, she could not travel, or she was afraid to travel. They were really strict regulation at that time. For
a strange time then.
Yeah, a really strict regulation. Then 2001. Then I went to. You took me. I don't have all the data in my mind, but then I do.
Were you Swiss?
I know I was there just for fun, because I went to all of them for fun, of my personal view, to learn something new. But I was chief judge also in Chile. And
Chile was 2013.
2013. Yep. I was a judge in Russia.
2011, yeah.
2011. So I've been to many.
Yeah, exactly.
Been to many.
What about, you were in Malaysia too, right?
I was a chief judge in Malaysia.
Oh, you were a chief judge in Malaysia.
Don't ask me why, But it was a difficult situation in Malaysia. Malaysia, I went down to. I know the course because I've been there for the World Cup. We all know the places, but the competition were grant or were assigned before we change the regulation. Now the regulation will never allow a site like this.
Right.
But at that time, the agreement or to sign the list of obligation was and the approval of the site was made by the Congress, and now they need to have the approval of the technical part. At that time, there was no approval from the technical part; it was only a political part approval, and they vote on it, and they give it to them. So and the organizer did fulfill all the list of obligation. So it was the problem was impossible to step back.
Interesting.
So we went down, me and Ryan. We went down. We suggest some
Ryan Dodd.
We suggest some changes to the organizer. We did help them to build up a small anti-backwash system for the slalom course, but unfortunately, the site is not a great site.
Yeah.
It's not a great site for water skiing.
Yeah, in general.
There is all the facilities because there is tribunes, a tower, and everything. But there are some walls around the skiing area which make it not really dangerous, but it could be dangerous to ski.
Yeah, yeah. There were some injuries last year. I mean, I believe this Malaysia World has been overspoken within the skiing community, but because a lot of our listeners are not competitive water skiers, or even just like, recreational water skiers, explain the whole idea of how, in general, worlds happen every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Right. And they have...
odd year. Because
every odd year.
Every odd year. And normally if the process should be that a nation or a federation that want to organize the championship should submit a bid.
Right.
The bid will be checked as it is now, the rule, not as it was before. The bid will be checked by the bureau, the IWWF bureau, which are going to ask to the technical part, to the Water Ski Council, if we approve or non-approve the site.
Right.
So if we approve the site, which we believe is suitable to ski or to run a good tournament, then we will approve the site. Then we go through the signature of the list of obligation and agreement.
Yeah.
So now we have those steps. If we have more than one bid, then we are going into the Congress, and the Congress will decide to, if they are both similar, they say two good places, then the Congress will decide who is going to organize it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where it becomes political.
Yes.
So it sounds like the way it's set up right now, first, there's a first step that needs to guarantee that the site is proper.
Correct.
For that bid to be approved.
Let's say accepted.
Accepted,
to be accepted. So then the political part gets into place. So, but now we have this technical part that is going to happen before the bid to be accepted.
Yeah. So you're telling me that if I come and tell you, hey, I want to do it on Lake Garda, you want to approve it?
I want.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's good. That's good.
No, I want.
That's good. All right.
There are different between a world championship and a cash prize event, because they always compare. But they go to Mumbai, they ski at Mumbai. Okay, but at Mumbai you go if you want to go. So it's your choice to go. It's not your team that appoint you. You go if you want, and you go, and you go down a place where it's difficult to ski.
Yeah.
Because it's a difficult place to ski, but if you want money. Mm-hmm. So you risk yourself, which is different than competing for a team or for a federation.
For a nation, yeah.
For a nation, it's completely different.
Yeah, yeah.
So we should try to find good places for a world championship for the future.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. And it brings me to a point that I've made in the podcast and in private conversation with friends about the whole idea of like institutionalized sport versus, say, professional sport, right? So the idea that you could either be skiing to represent your country or skiing to represent yourself, your sponsors, and compete for money. And in skiing, it's not really clear what we're doing, right? Like if you ask any skier, like what are the most important tournaments in water skiing? Worlds, for sure, Masters and Mumba. Like if you had to judge a skier, for some fantasy water skier ranks, that's the 3 tournaments you judge. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on that. Like I know it might be a touchy subject, but what do you think?
There are a lot of political issues involved in this answer, but from a technical point of view, our sport is really similar to snow ski. Okay, in snow ski you have a professional tour, which is the World Cup. Call them elite event. Okay, if you want to call them elite event, but that's a professional skiing tour where the top athletes, which get into a special ranking, can compete for money and for prestigious. They win a lot of money, which we don't have, but doesn't matter. But they also have a world championship where all of those skiers go and compete. What is strange in our sport are all the record capability and the ranking list event during the season, which are important for the ranking list to participate to the world championship, to be best ranked in that specific sport. But some of the time that are not really up to date to the skier level, because there are places where the top athletes can fall on buoy 1, and the winner should be the winner. In an elite event, the winner is the winner. It's a head-to-head competition. I compete against you, and if I beat you, even with on buoy 1, you score 1 and I score 1.5. I beat you. I pass over.
Yeah, I'm better. Yeah, you're better than me. Yeah.
On that moment.
Yeah.
On that specific lake in that moment, because every lake and every moment is different. It's not an indoor sport where you have an hour to warm up and then you have your goal. Here is a second, and it's done.
Yeah.
So I do believe the future should go in that direction. Have a lot of normal tournament for the, let's say, the non-professional skier, if you want to call them like this, and have a set of tournament for professional skier. There should not be too many. Okay, we do not want. I don't think they should be 20 or 30, because in snow ski they are 15, which is a bigger sport than ours. So I do believe 10, 15 maximum should be a good number for us. Elite tournament for elite skier. And all the rest should be apart the World Championship, which is a different point. All the rest of competition should build up the people to get into those elite skier. So they should get a kind of point to get up, and when you're on the top of the list, you get into the next step, which is the elite skier.
Yeah.
Okay, it should work like that. That's my what I think about it.
So in terms, like, would that be translated in terms of like performance? So let's say I'm trying to become an elite skier. How you see it? Like if you have an average of 3 at 10.7, then you qualify for the elite? Like is it like a performance based?
I don't think it should be a performance. The problem is that our sport is not worldwide distributed. There are places where you can compete more often, and there are places where you only compete once. The ideal world will be a placement-based position. So if I'm able to beat you in any place where I go, I should be above you.
Yeah.
It's not the score. The score are not so important, because it really depends on the water condition, on the site condition, on the day. So the placement is more important than the performance.
Is that? I know we're getting into the nitty gritty of this, and I think our listeners should be able to follow. But is that what the federation was trying to do with the dynamic ranking? And if so, can you explain what that is?
Okay, the dynamic placement ranking list.
Dynamic placement ranking list
was that we do try to make it work, but we realize that in some country, like in Asia, they do not have event.
Yeah.
So the Asia people to be classified into that ranking list need to travel around, need to go to the US, need to come to Europe during summer and competing against the other. Because they only have 2 or 3 events in a season, and that's not enough to get points.
Right.
So we are almost is something that it could work because it is based like, let's say, is based like the elite ranking list. The elite ranking list is a point ranking list.
Yeah.
Depending on who you beat and who are there, you get some point. Okay, we add the money, which I think we should also remove from the calculation of the point. But is an option. Is one of the options that we have. So based on the money, based on the skier that there, you get some point. And at the end, you are the winner if you get more point than the others.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of skiers that can travel to all of the places and they compete between themselves. So you allow to all of those people, the one that can win, to compete. If you don't allow them to compete, like the Asian skier will never have the possibility to get into.
Yeah.
So I do believe the normal ranking list is the way to get at the top of the ranking list to get into the next step, which is the elite ranking list or the World Cup ranking list, where the top athletes should compete and should have a set of events where they won money.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So because that's one of the things that I see with a lot of skiers, like not at elite level or pro level, but just like your junior skier that is trying to come up, or my club member who's just running some passes. They want to see the rankings. They want to see, my average is 2 at 55K.
Yes.
Who has 3? Who has 1?
Where I am.
Where am I? Yeah.
But that's good for them. That's good for them, and it's a way to tell them if you want to get better, you need to score a bit more. So it's good for those kind of people, but for you guys, because you are one of them. In fact, if to score 4 at 10 or 5 at 10, it's not a difference if you win 10,000 or not.
Yeah, exactly.
If you win 10,000, it's 10,000, even with one buoy.
Yeah.
Because it's elite skiing. So you are all really good skier. You know the score you can make. So you don't look for the score. Okay, you look for a record in specific situation. But normally you don't have that specific situation because the perfect situation for a record are just once a year.
Exactly.
Where the water temperature, the water density, the boat, the skier, the drive, everything has to be perfect that day.
Yeah.
And we are not talking about cheating. Okay, we are talking about regular stuff. Okay, proper stuff. It works once a year when you have all of these small
variables together. Some which you can control, some which you can't, because
the wind you can't control. Wind, rain, sunshine.
Boat gets broken. Whatever.
It's something you cannot. So we are talking about something specific for the elite skier, which are different. They are not the normal skier. It's nice in a competition to have one of them competing because everybody, in Italy, Thomas. If Tigas is here, everybody wants to see Tigas skiing.
Right.
It's nice for them, to improve themselves, to make more passion in them, but
to inspire them.
Yeah, to inspire them. But for Thomas, I think the elite event are more important than Italian championship.
For sure, and I think. If you look at some, like Thomas is a good example, Will or other skiers, there are a lot, like a good amount of elite skiers who do not ski RC events. Like they just primarily ski pro tournaments or say Worlds, Europeans, Nationals. That if during one of those tournaments you can set your record, perfect. Right.
Okay, perfect. But those places, those competitions are to win.
Yeah.
You go there to win and to get your money.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they are elite events. So they are event for top athletes who are really similar. The level is really similar because they are all there, one buoy in front or one buoy backwards.
Yeah.
So they know they are all top athletes. But on that specific day, who is the better?
Yeah, who's the best athlete on that day?
And the one who won is the one that day was the best one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think your way of thinking, I mean, first of all, I agree. And second, I think it relates a lot to track and field, right? So say World Cup or Olympics. who cares if you win with like 950 or 998, a 100-meter dash? If you have the gold medal, you're the best on that day, and that's all that matters, right?
And you get your medal and your picture on the newspaper and your picture on the television and sponsors.
Yeah.
Which is what skiers are looking for, because in our sport it's difficult to live with the sports.
Yeah.
So you need to have sponsors that support you and give you money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. Hey, why don't we take a little break and then we get back to
friend.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, just taking an opportunity to thank everyone for the support. I hope you're enjoying this particular interview with Candido. If you want this spot, which as you know by now, there's a lot of breaks in this episode or in this podcast better. If you want one of these breaks to promote your business, your ski school, your ski company, whatever you do, just shoot me an email at matteo@thewaterskipodcast.com. The only rule that I have is that if you decide to advertise here, there has to be an advantage for skiers, whether it's a discount code, a free trial, whatever that is. Break over, back to the interview with Candido. Test 1, 2, test.
Test.
Wanna?
Okay.
Okay, Candido. So we came back from a little break. As you can imagine, I have a lot of questions for you. Because, I mean, let's face it. You're, I would say, from a judge's side of things, from a skier's side of things, you are, by now, after all these years, you're looked as the best judge in the world.
Well, don't say that.
Well, I'm going to say it.
No one is the best judge. We all try to do our best. The only thing I can say is that this is my profession. I'm doing it professionally. I'm not doing it as a hobby. So I saw some of those points from a different view than the others.
Yeah.
As you told me before, what I think about the type of competition. That's why, because I did see it from the inside and the outside of the sport. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm still going to defend you're the best judge in the world. So one of the things, I guess, so, you are now the World TC. You had it jointly with Bob Corson.
Yes.
And then as of last year, you're the World TC.
After Malaysia.
Yeah. You're also the European TC still?
Yes, I am.
And that you've been holding for a while, right?
That's 12 years now.
12 years.
Yep.
How does that come about? Like, is it an election? Did you get...
It is an election. You, let's say at European level, you need to be proposed by your federation first.
Yeah.
Then you need to be voted by the Congress, the European Congress. And if you are in one of the 7 that get the highest point, you are elected. And then between the 7, they decide which one is the president or is the chairman of the council. I took over Stefan Raukenwald, and he recommended me at that time to be the president.
How did that feel?
Good. As I told you, he was one of the people that inspired me. So I really always had a good relation with him, and we did get in touch, still get in touch sometimes. So it's good. It's good. And at world level is a little bit different because the 3 regions, now that we are talking about confederation, we should be 5, but we are still 3. So the 3 confederation, which is Europe and Africa, is one. Panam is another one, and Australia and Oceania is the other one. They proposed
Oceania and Asia, right?
Is Oceania and Asia.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they are 3. We are 3. The 3 confederation proposed 3 members for the World Council.
Yeah.
In addition, we have 2 skier rep now, which is Manon and Ryan.
Yeah.
And Jacinta also can come whenever she wish.
Yeah.
The skier rep have only 2 votes. They want to have more than 2 votes, but that's up is in the regulation. They normally have 1, but we have 1 spare vote, and we can give to everybody. So we give an extra vote to the skier. So the skier have 2 votes.
Okay.
So we are 9 plus 2, which is 11, and between ourselves we elect the chairman of the World TC.
Got it.
Okay. To be a member of the World TC, you need to be a member of your confederation TC.
Right.
You don't in Europe, okay, for Europe.
Yeah.
You don't need to You don't need to be the president, or there is no conflict if you are president of both, like I am.
Right.
But it's better if this don't happen, because sometimes you have to take decision which can be correct from one side and not correct from the other side. That's why I'm looking for a replacement in Europe.
Right.
Because I'm looking for. It's not easy to find people that have the time to stay there and to spend.
Countless hours.
Yeah, it's time. It's
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, going back to what I believe to be true, and that you're like the judge in water skiing. You also dedicate a crap ton of time to this. As you said, you treat it as a profession. So inevitably there's hours weekly, daily.
They say that sometimes you need to be lucky. I have been lucky that my federation support me. They give me some money to do the summer job in Italy, but that's money, and due to the fact that my wife works too,
Yeah.
give me the time that I spend for water ski, which is too much sometimes.
Right.
Too much sometimes. Because during the summer you have the competition, during the winter you have rules, video, and stuff like this.
Meetings.
Which takes a lot of your lifetime and your family time.
Yeah. How was your well, obviously we're recording this on June 4th. Lockdown in Italy was strong and enforced, but it kind of ended, as they call it, the phase 2, May 4th. How did you use those 2 months to crank some water ski work, like video, rule book, meetings, Zoom, all that?
We did. It was interesting because for the first time we in every year the European Confederation organizes a seminar, and this year was supposed to be in England. For the first time this year, we have an online seminar, which is called webinar now. I don't know. I don't like this word, but they call it webinar.
We have those in university as well.
I don't like.
You don't like webinar?
I don't like the words. It doesn't sound good to me, But we did it, and we have more than 100 participants. So
way.
a lot of people come and join us. We keep it short, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, not more, because otherwise people get sick and they would switch off. But it was interesting because it's really focused on those webinars. You are really focused. You don't, it's not the face-to-face discussion. You speak, the other listen, and they make questions at the end. You answer the questions. We have created a platform in Europe where we put a lot of stuff. There is a lot of training stuff there. Training video, specific circumstances, rules, technical part, how to use a splash eye, how to use Corson, how to use Butcher, how to use the new system, the new GPS system to track the boat. There is a lot of stuff there.
And how do you have to be a federation member to access it? How
you need to have a password. Because
Because
we are afraid that people get in and touch stuff, so you need
Right.
to apply for the password. They give you a password, and with your email and your password, you can access to all of those data.
Okay.
We did a great job. Donald have worked like crazy. Donald Connolly, the inventor of Splash High.
Yeah.
He's during the winter we start discussing what platform are we going to use, and we said, okay, a lot of universities use Moodle.
Moodle.
For the exams and something. So we learn how to use it. And we create this Moodle platform, which a lot of other disciplines in Europe are looking to now. They already ask if they can join us. Why
Other
not?
sports.
Yeah, other sports. Wakeboard and cable wakeboard, because they saw that the system is well organized, and you can have different access places. So you can go to once. You can access to some exam or to some test, to some lessons, and not to others, depending on the authorization you got. So we did a lot of job.
Yeah, Moodle is strong. Like as you know, I went to UL Lafayette for my bachelor's and master's with Lorenzo, and we used Moodle there. It's one of those educational platforms that is really powerful. It's been around for a long time.
And you can do whatever you want in there, but you have to spend time.
Yeah.
Because to build up a course or to build up an exam, it takes time.
Yeah. Look, one of the things I probably didn't tell you before we started recording, but as you can imagine, the vast majority of my listenership is English-speaking countries, right? So
Correct.
US, Canada, Australia, UK. It's been listened throughout the world, but primarily US, Canada is a lot of my listenership. And I would like for you to maybe, let's say, maybe explain how some things are different in Europe in terms of skiing. And I'm talking about, like, you know, your side of things. I'm not saying lakes are deeper and whatever, you know, like I'm talking about from the technical standpoint. And within your comfort, maybe just pinpoint a couple of things that we might be doing better in Europe, and some things that maybe US and Pan Am region are doing better.
Okay, let's, you know, first of all, water ski is water ski worldwide. So what we do here is the same thing they are doing there.
Yeah.
What we have, basically, the difference is the how we live the sport. If you go to Florida, you know, it looks like water skis everywhere.
Right.
Here, you need to go to special places where with a lot of difficulties and whatever. But technically, at the beginning, when I get into the sport, we have a lot of difference. You know, they have different boats, they have different skis, they have different ropes. I'm talking the US people compared to the European one. But now that a lot of Europeans are moving to the US during the winter or studying there, we have about the same possibility.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have the man-made lake, but you know it's difficult for us to have this possibility in Europe. But I do believe what we can improve is the concept of being a world. At the moment, we have, I think, something like 34 categories, different age categories,
Yeah.
or age division. So every confederation has its own one. Every place has its own one.
Oh, sorry. Every confederation has its own age categories.
Yes.
Interesting.
And there are places in Europe is not possible, for example, to compete in two different categories in the same tournament.
Right.
In the US, it's possible. In Pan America, it is possible. You
Pan America.
can compete in the junior and in the open in the same competition.
Yeah.
So you're gonna ski 8 times. If we are talking about a 4-round event, you
Right.
ski 4 rounds in junior and 4 rounds in the open. We should be standardized a bit more this.
Yeah.
In addition, we should be more open. For open mean that sometimes when you don't want to explain how things happen or why in a specific place you have specific score, stuff like this, people start thinking you're cheating.
Yeah.
So we should be more open, more, you know, really open the eyes and see we are a family. We are a big family, and we should all help ourselves to be the best, not try to beat the other. You know, we need to help ourselves. I have to help you, you have to help me. So we both get better.
Yeah.
And our family get better.
And the sport gets
And
better.
the sport get better.
Yeah. That's a good point.
It's all related.
Yeah.
If we start and I try to keep the buoy a little bit lower, to keep the ramp a little bit longer, because so the skier come to ski in my place because they get better score. That's not the correct attitude.
Yeah.
And this is what get into mind sometimes. If I remember in the past when everybody thought, okay, to have a good score, you need to go in the US to do slalom. That's not true anymore.
No.
Now you can come to Europe. Last year we have some really good event in Europe. The year before, some really great result. And the punishment we give to those that in break it cheat, which I don't like to call cheat, but in break it use tolerance to help skier performances, which is not allowed by the rule, and is not what should be done. Those punishments are in that direction, to keep the sport as safe as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Safe, technically safe.
Yeah, technically safe, yeah.
Technically
And safe also. But that,
safe, you know, that
first and foremost,
safety is something you always have to take care about. But that was the main problem. Last year we downgrade, I think something like 60 score in Europe.
Yeah.
And now they are downgrading some score in the US for the same reason. So if we work together I'm sure the relation is going to get better.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not. I guess it's more out of curiosity because, as I said, like a lot of the listeners are U.S. and U.S. Let's say. So one of the differences that to me jumps to mind, because as you know, I lived there for a long time, is that, for instance, if you want to organize a record capability event in Europe, you don't get to choose your judges. The judges have to apply to that tournament, and the TC chooses the judges, which I've always considered a very good thing. Like in terms of like, I've always considered it good. Something that in the US, for instance, that's not the case. Like even if you do an RC event, you can choose your own judges.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, because you choose them. But let's say that the rule changed a few years ago. In Europe, it changed about 15 years ago. Because we have a kind of tournament, let's say a club tournament, which become record capability, judged by local people just to break the record.
Yeah, exactly.
One skier, 10 rounds,
Yes.
and then you approve the one to set the record. This was, I think it was about 20 years ago now. So we changed the rule and we said, okay, you want to run a record capability, you have to ask for it in advance, which for us is before January. For Europe is before January.
That's true, yeah.
So you have to ask for it, and then the Tournament Council will appoint the judges from the European available officials. So they need to be qualified, and we are going to appoint them to prevent the possibility to choose the one you want. That's what we did it because we have to solve a situation.
Yeah.
And everybody at the beginning it was difficult, but now everybody accepted because it's a rule since a long time.
Yeah.
Worldwide, we implement a few years ago that if you want to have a record capability event, you need to announce it 30 days in advance, and you must post also the list of officials.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will say anything if you appoint your list of officials and we don't like them or somebody don't like them, because we do understand officials are an expenses or on the organizer's shoulders, because host them, food and stuff is expensive.
Travel,
Travel and everything is expensive. So sometimes you have to rely on the people that says, I could come. Do you want me? But at least now we have a more public worldwide, the more public information.
Yeah.
So the competition need to be there 30 days in advance, and the list of judges need to be there.
Yeah.
So if anyone have anything against one, can point the finger, and we will discuss it.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know about this in terms of worldwide.
Yeah.
What about? So I personally, and it seems to me like you believe that. Yes, sure. The way in which we do it in Europe arose out of a issue, and then we took these kind of like regulations to prevent that. But I still, for whatever reason, I believe is a good thing. As you said, like it allows for a bit more proper. I don't know how to explain it, but let's just assume that it's good. Right?
Okay.
What is something that you are seeing maybe the US or Pan American region is doing that we in Europe could learn from?
I do believe we try to keep all the best from them. Everything they do and we think is positive, we do it. Luckily, we have a good relation with them.
Yeah.
And especially on rope stuff, because we during the winter we work a lot with Jerry Jackson over there and the guys over there with the rope manufacturer to set up the new rules for ropes, because it was the one we had was completely obsolete. And it was completely out of date. It was not more acceptable. Who is going to check if the breaking load of the rope is whatever kilograms or whatever pounds? Impossible. What I do believe the US don't know us. Okay, they do not know how difficult it is in Europe or in other countries to do the sport, because for them everything looks easy. they can build up a man-made lake tomorrow. You know, they go there with they dig it and they make it.
Bulldozer.
Yeah, and they dig it and they make it, and for them it's much more easier than what it is for us. So when you fight so much for something, you know, everything that is easy looks a problem, which is not. That's why I since 10 years now I'm going in the US during the spring to live water ski there.
Yeah.
Because you need to understand also the other people and to understand them. They have a lot of facility that we do not have.
Yeah.
So for us it's a little more complicated, and for the South American is the same. For Asia is even worse because they have only a few places where they can ski. But I do think both sides. What is better on each side, we get them.
I see.
I'm not jealous if they, you know, personally, I'm not jealous of anything. If I do something that is correct and they want to copy it, why not? And I do the same. If they do something that I like and I think is a good idea, why not?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No,
be more open. I don't think they have nothing to take from us, and we have nothing to take from them. But we have a lot of things to exchange.
Yeah.
Experience and professionality, and which is the best thing that we could do.
No, I agree. I think it's because of situations, or even just the fact, as you said, like the availability and inexpensiveness of land there. Like, you know, like you can create a lake in no time.
You know how long it takes you to build up the place where we are.
Yep.
And your family and the town and everything and all the permission.
It's a different story.
It is difficult. It is different. So you know, and when you fight so much for something like this, and you know, why did I have to have it to be so difficult for me and for the others so easy?
Right.
But that's life. You know, I have a Maserati and you have a 500.
Yeah.
and we still live in the same world.
Yeah. Do you have a Maserati?
I don't. I don't.
I just checking.
I have a Panda 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Oh man. So okay, because I know we spoke about. And again, I agree with you fully. If you're a professional or an elite skier, what should matter is wins and placements rather than scores. Mm-hmm. But then we get in the conversation that both pro skiers pursue and the water ski world looks after, which is world records, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd be curious if you could explain to our audience, how does it work for a world record? What makes a world record? Like, what's the procedure, the process?
Okay, we have a kind of explanation in the rule book about what is a record and how the record will be accepted. But in a few words, if you set a performance that is a potential world record, all the data of that specific performances have to be submitted to the World TC.
And what is data? What are you talking about?
We are talking about video. It depends on which event. If we are talking about slalom, is gate video, end course video, video from the boat, and the paper signed by the official present at the competition.
Okay.
All of those documents will be verified by a number of officials, which is a brand new rule since this year. Because last year we have a few controversy on one of the record. So now we set up that also for slalom, a specific set of judges will review the record, and by majority we will approve it or not approve it. Okay. So everything will be checked. The end course will be checked if the boat is in tolerance, the gate if the skier go through the gates, and the boat video if the skier turn around the buoys. In addition, you check the time. The TC of the competition have to submit the homologation dossier and all the data, all the paperwork that are there. For tricks, you submit the video, and from the video you appoint a set of level 1 judges, which are going to recheck to rejudge the passes. Yeah. And the five or three competition judges plus the other appointed will create a group of people based on the majority you approve or non-approve the trick record.
Interesting. So let's start with tricks for a second. So let's say we have a tournament today in San Gervasio and there's a world record. There are 3 judges that judged the score.
The score, the skier.
So you're compiling those judgments, like those scores, with that set of judges you said that will rejudge.
Correct.
Like you sum them
So
up.
I'm going to appoint another. In total, there will be 15, because I need a. In total, there will be 15 people. The 3 of the competition, plus
12
another 12, another 13, 12 more.
Yeah.
From different confederation, so that I receive all the call of all the judges, and I check trick by trick if at least 6 or 7 of them, because in this case I need 8. Okay,
Yeah.
if 8 of them credit or not credit the tricks, depending on that, you approve or non-approve the record.
Now you said I check, meaning you, Candido, check those 15 judges.
I just compile them.
Yeah, you compile.
I compile them because they judge autonomously, and everything will be posted. So if I made a mistake, somebody can check. One of the judges involved can check, but they send me the call, and I just compile the call all together on a spreadsheet, and I need to have 8 yes, and if I have 8 yes on each trick, the score is valid. The record is valid.
Yeah. Interesting. And so, but these judges, the World TC selects to rejudge. These are not the members of the World TC.
They are not.
They're just okay.
They could be.
Some of them could be.
Some of that could be member. They are appointed, or let's say that the confederation send me the list of their record review judges.
Yeah.
So they send me a list of judges, which for them are up to date to review a record.
Yeah.
And I randomly choose them.
Got it.
Okay. So I think I have 6, 7 from Panam, 6 from Asia, and 7 or 8 from Europe. And randomly, I choose them to call the record.
Got it. Yeah. I didn't know about this.
Now, if we have a panel with 5 judges, we are going up to 21 in total. If the competition judges are 5, we go up to a panel of 21.
Right.
So it depends, but it's a kind of standardized, the call, because if you reduce the number of officials, it's much more difficult to set a record. If the platform is wide, is more compensate. Let's say it's more compensate and more equal.
Why do you think that is? It is just like benefit to the skier, or you know what I mean? Like, what is it that you think in terms of less judges, less likely that the record goes through?
I think as more judges as there are, it go on the benefit of the skier. Okay, because the average get better.
Right.
If you have only 1, or 2 is 50% each, so it's easy to knock it or not. If you have 17 or 21, 1 is a 5%.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is completely different.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I never thought of it that way. What about jump? What is it required for a
jump? We need the screenshot of the setup. Okay, so we need a picture of how the system have been set, and we need a video of the landing or the picture of the landing point where the skier land.
Yeah.
And we need the survey. So everything will be rechecked. In the past, I think the last 2 records have been changed by 10 centimeter. And in one case, we even increased 10 centimeter the record.
Oh, because
on the remeasure, on the recheck of everything. Because during a competition, buoy moves a little bit and the camera moves a little bit.
Right.
So when you recheck it, you have frozen images. You don't have something moving.
Right.
So you recheck and you point exactly the point where they are or where they should be, and you can even increase the record.
Yeah.
It will not be much, but
well, yeah, and so let me point this out to you. So how long have you been a member of the World TC?
Since I become, even before I become the president of the European Council, which is, I think now is about 15 or 16 years.
Okay. So you've reviewed a lot of world records.
I did review a lot.
Yeah. What is the percentage, would you say, of those that get approved versus not approved? Do you have a statistic about that, or do you just your sense?
I will say, if you forgot last year, because last year we have the junior record, which create a big amount of work. Until before, it was 50-50.
Interesting.
But then last year, Pato Font broke the record 11 times. So I have an extra work to check all of this. And I think only one of his record were not accepted. All the other were accepted. Let's say that in the past, when I start checking record, we have a frame by frame view. The record were checked by the council at his meeting, and a record approval could take 2-3 years. Now the record approval is monthly.
Yeah,
maybe less.
I noticed. Yeah,
maybe less. Quicker. Yeah, maybe less. Technology helps us a lot. Right. Sending the video to Australia for them to review it and check it is easy now.
Yeah,
it wasn't like this in the past.
Right.
So I do believe now even the judges are getting a little bit better. All worldwide we are getting a little more prepared.
Yeah.
So what I saw in the past is that especially in tricks, because slalom is difficult, that a record will be knocked.
What might be something that prevents a world record from being approved in slalom, say?
The boat path. I think the last two naked record were not approved because the boat path was not, according
within tolerance.
We're not in tolerance.
Yeah.
Jump. I think jump have always been all jump record up to now have been approved. I don't remember a jump record not approved. I don't want to talk about some record in the past, which maybe one of the audience could discuss on it. We had situation where WorldTC should even not look into the record because there was something behind it. Okay, something that should have stopped the record before have been submitted. Okay, because if I run a competition in Europe, I need to check everything in Europe. If I accept the competition and I approve the competition in Europe, then it can be proposed as a world record. And this should be the same. So the competition need to be sanctioned by the organizing federation. If it's sanctioned and approved by the organizing federation, then the record will be submitted and we are going to check. So I don't remember any jump record that fulfilled those requirements, not approved. Tricks, we realized that in tricks in live is different than at the review. So normally, the judges, the competition judges are, I don't want to say easier, but they cut less than what the review panel cut. And in slalom, as I told you, normally it's only because of the boat path.
Not survey data.
No. Now all the survey are done by theodolite, and if you want to cheat a number, you can cheat it, but it's a number, so it's coordinated, so you can do nothing.
Yeah. Look, I know it's not really your realm, I guess, because you're not a driver, but can you, from a judging perspective, for someone who's been in the sport for a long time, could you speak about, I guess, the importance of having good driving for a good tournament to happen? Something along those lines.
I like to drive the boat. I love to drive the boat, and I have my driving license, because in Italy you need to have a boat driving license.
Yeah.
So I have it, and I love to drive the boat. I don't drive much, but I love.
Oh, dude, you should drive me for a ski set.
And I did drive some skiers sometime in Davide place, because I don't, I'm not a good driver anymore.
Yeah.
The importance of a good driver is to have a good standard. Skier need to be pulled how they should be pulled. There are drivers that believe moving a little bit. I'm not talking about cheating, which is a difficult word. Moving a little bit on to help the skier to get around the buoy, or to react in a different position while the skier is pulling, is helping the skier, but this is not. The skier need to have a straight pull and to have the driver reacting at the correct point.
Yeah.
Not too late because you don't get a good, or not too early.
Yeah.
So the driver in the boat is really an important part.
Yeah.
It was more in the past where you have to use the gas. Now you don't have to use the gas, but now it's much. But because you don't have the gas, you need to be much more careful on how you drive the boat, because you cannot compensate. You have to use the steering to compensate, which is completely different.
Yeah.
There is no way that a driver have to help or try to help or to be soft to a skier to help him to improve a score.
Yeah.
Because that's not correct.
No, for sure.
That's not correct.
No, because I guess one of the difference I see, and this is not to take anything away from judging, and I'll say specifically in tricks, it seems to me that if you want to be a good and fair trick judge, you have to practice calling tricks, right? Like you have to watch video, continue to, but in driving, it seems even more so because it's a motor skill, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have to have hours of experience feeling the skier, feeling the boat, like making sure, So maybe wrongly so, but I see practice as being a huge component of driving, proper driving.
I do believe if you don't drive the boat normally every day, you cannot drive athletes at top level.
Yeah.
If you stop driving for 2 months, you're losing the feeling. It is really a feeling you boat skier. Yeah. It's something really connected. So you need to drive constantly top athletes, or athletes at a certain level. You cannot drive now and then don't drive for 3 months and go to a competition and drive. That's not possible.
Yeah.
Because when you go to the competition, the training will help a little bit to catch up, and then the competition will be your normal training, which is not what it should be.
Correct.
We just instate a driver commission, which is working in conjunction with the athletes, because the difficult part on appointing judges or drivers to title event was how to choose them.
Right.
Okay. How are you going to choose one driver compared to another, or why? And they are working on it. So
it's funny because I know you're probably gonna listen to this episode when you drive home, but I interviewed Mario a few months ago, and we were having that discussion, right? Like Mario, probably one of the best drivers in the world, undeniably. Like, so how do you decide, right? And it sounds like steps can be made to at least understand how you should select drivers.
Yes, we are really working on it, because it's one of our goals to select the best driver to those events. Because we had in the past, you know it, we have in the past some driver which were not at the level that they should be in the boat.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell names, because names are always a problem. But we did have those problems, and we need to get better. If you're a skier, and I love to be on the dock when especially the slalom skier are going in, and you are confident with the driver. If you made a mistake, you made a mistake.
It's so
okay.
It's so
and
true.
And if you don't trust the driver, you never thought it could be your mistake, because the first thing you are going to think is, where was the driver, that buoy? Was it on my side or on the other side? Was it pulling me good or not?
Early or late, yeah.
And I see this especially when I'm in the boat with one of our best driver, and even if a skier fall early, he said, thank you to the driver. It was not your fault, it was me. I was not in my correct attitude. So the relation between the skier and the driver have to be a real trust.
Yeah.
If you trust him and you know he's gonna do his best, you go in and you do your performance.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's so true. Like, you probably know this better than anyone or most people in the world, but this sport is so full of variables that if you can, at least as a skier, and say, okay, I know that driver is good, that's a huge variable away from your mind.
You go into the course free,
Yeah.
which is important for the sport and is a moment.
Yeah.
We are not talking about a marathon. We are talking about the sport that is boom, done, finished.
Exactly.
So you need to be confident on what you have on.
Yeah.
And the driver is one of those points.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, one final question I want to ask you is, there's a lot of skiers out there, and I know you know of this, and that's why I want to ask your opinion, that seem to think that with technology advancements, eventually we could do without judges, right? So let's say we have cameras, we have tracking, we have everything. I get 10 friends together and I do a tournament, right? And provided fair play, provided whatever you want, we could do without judges, right? What do you think about that? Obviously, I'm assuming you're going to be against the idea, but
in principle, I'm not against anything,
right?
And I do believe it's possible to do it. I do believe it's possible, even if it's not in my mind is not there. I still think a competition is skiing one against the other with the judges calling you on the tower or on the video on site. Yes, technology is available. We could think about it, but the social part of to be all together. Because if you think that a judge can be a judge staying at home and watching television at home, I'm probably do it once, and then everything is over. I'm not gonna do it anymore because the real spirit of the sport, to be there, to be all together, to live the thing, is gone. If I stay home, everything is gone.
Yeah.
We did have a request to go in that direction not more than a month ago, and all my TC colleague in Europe, believe that yes, we maybe can do it, but we still need the driver there.
Right.
We still need a TC there, because we need somebody to install everything and check that everything is correct, how it should be. And yes, the technology is almost there, because it's like a live streaming event. So you are going to judge while you are streaming it. And we know that in some places it will be impossible.
Right.
In some other it will be possible, because if you have a good connection, good internet connection, good everything, it could be possible. But they all think that we are losing the spirit, which is at the base of the sport, which is competing or do something in front of the person that is going to judge you.
Yeah. 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 I fully
It's not
agree.
it's not a remote judgment. It's
Yeah.
the real judgment on site at the moment.
So technology should be, let me see if you could agree with this. Technology should be in place and advancing to make judging better, not to remove judging.
Correct. Maybe to reduce the number,
Yeah.
because now we have so many places to cover, then you need a lot of people. Maybe we can reduce the number if we have a good technology, but the technology needs to be there to help judges on site and to be better judges and more fair call.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's a good point, because as you know, maybe particularly even with the lockdown and the COVID-19 issues we had, there have been a lot of initiatives, let's say, of competing online or competing via an app, all these things, right? Which I found interesting. I don't know what I think about them, but I found very interesting.
They are, if you don't compare with a normal tournament. So having two different set of of events. The online events as a test can be run, and why not?
Right.
Just to see how it works, just to see what people think. I know in cable wakeboard, they are thinking about having a week for a tournament, but they don't. For them, There is no wind problem. There is no
Yeah.
wind issue. There is not. They have those structured, and they have to go on it. They record each rider, and
Yeah.
then they are going to send out the video to a panel of people, to judge it.
Yeah.
But this is not our case. The moment for us is important because the condition of the water, the wind, and I know that you just compete before me, so I have to beat you.
Yeah.
You don't ski the day before. You ski just before me, and
Right.
I know I have to beat you. So yes, it is possible. It's a different scenario,
Yeah.
but I do believe technology needs to be there to help us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's a fair way of framing it. Actually, it's a good way of framing it. Okay, why don't we conclude with a story? You choose the story. Maybe a moment that you felt, I don't know, pride, let's say, in something that you did, like a good story from you, personal. I'll let you choose. You can choose even more than one if you want.
No, it's difficult, but I think the trust of the people is more what you are looking into. As I told you before, I'm going every spring. I'm going to the U.S. to be there, to see what happened there, to let people know me. Because if I live in Europe, they only come a few times a year. They even don't know who I am there.
Yeah.
So I go there.
Well, by now I think they do, but
I go there, I live there, and last year one of the world top coaches, which always ask me if I want to go in the boat with him, I went out with Mario for a tour down to Miami because Mario has some business in Miami, and he called me and says, "Where is my boat judge? Where is my boat judge?" So if one of the top coaches in the world like to have you in the boat with him and discuss with him about what happened on the water, I think that's my goal.
yeah, the trust of the skiing
Yeah,
community.
the trust of the coaches of the skier and the relation I have with them. I think that's really what is important at the moment.
Yeah,
You can be a good technician, but if the people don't trust you, you're nothing.
yeah. Well, I think this is my personal opinion, but if you made it to a point where you are as respected as you are, I think trust is involved. And I know it's nothing quick. I know it takes time, it takes experience, it takes pain away from family, away from, even sometime rest. But certainly trust is one of the reasons why you became the judge that, honestly, you became the Steven Rockenwald for the judges now. And it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool. Candido, thank you so much for accepting to do this. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it again in a few months. Maybe we'll talk about something more specific. I don't know.
I hope so, because we have to think about our new season, which
Yeah,
is going to
it's true.
come.
It's true.
Because the 2021 will be an incredible season for water ski. If we get out from this COVID-19
stuff, yeah. Well, in the meantime, thanks again. Maybe I'll get you back in a few just to see how this season. Maybe at the end of the season, we'll see.
Right.
This is not like a one time and you can't come
No,
back. Huh?
I'm always available. Whenever you need me, I'm here.
Well, thank you for being so.
Thanks. So.